Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, Totally Katika. I am Katika, of course, and I have an amazing author with me, Angela.
Hi guys.
So today she's just going to give us a little information about her book and then have some conversation regarding parenting. And she's the mom of 3 and bonuses as well. So it's going to be great. So stay tuned. Again, this is Angela Robinson, and this is her book, Memoirs, Elements of a Journey. Put it closer so y'all can see it. Make sure y'all get it. It's on Amazon and on her website. We'll put that in the link as well. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about your journey.
This book was actually birthed out of me because I felt that people should know my story, and different elements is where I got the title, meaning the pieces of my journey. Not the entire journey, because we'll be here all day, but just extracting different pieces where I felt that were very impactful to another person, male, female. It doesn't matter, because we all kind of are on a journey,
Yes.
just in life. And so these bits and pieces of myself are, and I love that I was able to bring my children as the foreword for them, and to dedicate the book to them, because of course they've been with me during these times and a lot of the hard times, and they've seen it all, and they've seen their mom raise up out of the mud, if you will, to be who I am today. But the journey is a collaboration of how we journey through life, and the mistakes that we make, and how we can still triumph through the mistakes and still be able to dust off our shoulders to be able to help pull someone else out of the mud. And this is part of why the book was created, is to help pull other people and let them know that you're not alone. You don't have to go through your situations by yourself, and it's not the end of your story. So this is truly not the end of my story. It's just elements of it. So get it today at Amazon. I do have a website. We can drop that link also in the bio.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And you actually said a couple things. I'm gonna put this aside right here, that we're gonna touch on, like that parenting journey, and knowing that you're not alone. And that's one of the reasons why I started this channel, because a lot of times I remember being a mom, then I was like, oh my gosh, there's certain things I'm dealing with my teenager, and I'm like, this teenage girl or this teenager is like, oh, she was here, and it's like teenage happening, then it's like a totally different person. I'm like, who is this?
Right.
And just wanting to get additional information from other mothers who have teenagers, or who have adults now, what was that journey like? What are some tips or something that may work? But like you said, your kids were there and a part of your journey, so let's kind of go back in time a little bit, right?
Okay.
And let's just give us a little information about who you are, and then we'll kind of jump into, from that point, how many kids you have, and what was that like as well.
Before we start that, let me just make a disclosure here. I am a person that I love transparency, and when I love that to be reciprocated, I first have to be transparent as well. I grew up in rural Arkansas. My mom and dad, both two-parent home. I'm the middle child. I have an older sister, younger brother, and I was different. I love to have my way. I had my own personality early, very strong-willed, if you will, and I got pregnant with my first child at 16. So I didn't know anything about being a mom. So it was very different for me. It was scary. I didn't know what to do, but my parents were very instrumental there with me to help along the way, because I had to still finish high school.
Absolutely.
And can you imagine going to school every day, going to classes, going to lunch with a baby in your belly?
Right. Like
you know, just like, oh yeah, absolutely, just like this. But you know, as a grown-up and adult being pregnant, it's challenging. Yes,
absolutely.
So think about a 16-year-old pregnant.
I just couldn't imagine.
And you know, thank God for my school. I have to give a plug, Forest City High School in Forest City, Arkansas. They had a program for the teen moms.
Wow.
That
awesome.
We were able to get our doctor's visits done there, nutritional classes, all the prenatal things that we needed. They provided that for us. We had a school elevator, so if I was not feeling up to walking the stairs to my class, I had the option for using an elevator.
That's nice.
And you know, so here, fast forward now, 2 years later, I had another child. I had my son, which I talk about in the book. That was a challenge for me. Trying to raise and trying to nurture a young man as a single mom was challenging. I had a village to help me, but I'm the one that's there at night. I'm the one that has to, you know, get the boo-boos and wipe the cuts, and you know, when he had thrash, it was all on me, you know, and I had no idea what that was about. It scared me so bad. I'm like, oh my God, he's running a fever, his tongue is white, you know, they put blue dye in there. It was just, it was a lot. But and then just going through another 2 years, boom, my third child. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I must be Superwoman. You know, like, where's my hidden cape that I didn't really realize I had on? Because, like, who has 3 children and you're not married?
People do it all the time.
People do it all the time. But
I understand what you're saying.
But yeah, it was like my mom was like, wow, really? You know? And so I love my children. Parenthood has taught me so much. And I did realize that no matter how many children you have, they all have different personalities.
Yeah.
So how you teach and discipline one may not work for your other one.
That's true.
You know, I have 2 daughters and a son, and both of my daughters are totally different young ladies. They had different desires, they had different wants. They had, you know, for the most part, you know, you just take care of them and feed them and clothe them.
Right.
But you know, one don't like spinach, one loves spinach. You know, one likes to be outside and the other doesn't like to be outside.
Right.
You know, and I had to, you know, reprimand the oldest so much for always wanting to be out. She just always wanted to go, to go. Where my baby girl, she's a homebody. So I didn't have the same problems or the same circumstances with all of my children.
Yeah. And it's kind of like something I posted on Instagram yesterday, where it said that, you know, kids need more than just love.
Yes.
You know, and like not just the love, but like the basic. Like, I give you food, I give you shelter, I give you clothing. But beyond that, there's so much more to that. I know we had a conversation about like our girls. I'm like, I have a teenager. She's 15. You know, you guys know, but her desires and her support that she needs from me as a mom is different. So when you think about that, what are some of the things you can say as a parent? Like, for me, that may be like a newer mom or other moms out there. Like, what are some things you can say, hey, be prepared to give this to your child, because outside of that love, outside of that food, that shelter, they need this as well to be successful.
Okay. And just reflecting back, my oldest daughter, she had actively both myself and her father. But I did realize it wasn't too late, but it was later on. I realized she needed me not only to love her maternally as her mom, but I also had to be her first counselor. I heard a lady tell me, be okay and accepting and open to whatever your children need to talk to you about, and make it okay for them to divulge whatever's on their mind, whatever's on their heart, because they're going to go outside and find someone else to share these things with. But I wanted to build a bond so tight with them that it hurted me to my core, some of the things that they shared. But I couldn't show it on my face. I had to go in the room, take a pillow, and scream in the pillow, wipe my face, wipe the tears, get it together, and come back out and like, okay, and what else happened? So you not only, you play so many roles in their lives. And one thing that they don't need is a parent to always criticize their actions.
Absolutely.
We had to grow up. I'm the first to tell you, I made a lot of mistakes. I need room to grow, and we have to give our children room to grow. Let them make some mistakes. Let them bump their head, and so that they may grow from it.
Yes, I agree 100%. And that is something I'll admit that I had to learn in the past 2 years. That, you can love them, you spend time with them, and, we do our different things. And I always have a conversation with her.
Right.
But I remember just recently, just some issues that she was dealing with. And then me just really sitting back and listening. Because normally I'm like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. I'm always like giving some sort of feedback. And sometimes they don't want that. They just want you to truly listen. And the other day she said, Mommy, this is not a teacher moment. I just want you to listen without saying nothing. I just want to vent.
And it's hard.
And I said, okay, it's hard because I'm like, okay. But yesterday in a conversation, I kind of put it back on her in a different way. Because I was just like, well, what would you gain from this? I'm not telling you this is what you should do, but what are you going to gain? What's the benefit of this conversation? Or what's the benefit of you're going to get from the situation that you're in? But even, so that was a good way, and I felt really good about that. But another thing is, like I was saying, is that support and knowing that they can talk to you, and whenever they make a mistake, knowing that they can still feel like you're not beating me over the head with it consistently and reminding me, but you're there to tell me it's okay. You're going to be okay.
Right.
You fell, you can get back up.
Absolutely.
And even if you were wrong, whatever the mistake is, we all have opportunities to do it right again.
Sure.
We all of us have made mistakes. We had areas that we completely screwed up in.
Oh yeah.
But God worked it out, and He still saw beyond all of that and still forgives us. And I think we have to be at that point with our kids. Sometimes we have these expectations that because they're kids, they're supposed to do this. But I was like, but we still want them to be kids, but we want them to think and make decisions like a mature adult. So it just doesn't go. It doesn't balance out. So we do have to remind them and give them some grace and space to grow and to make mistakes. And I said even to my husband that I rather some of the mistakes that are being made are made within the house right now while she's being covered versus her going out on her own and doing it. And then it's just like going wild.
Oh yeah, and you don't want that. So, I've seen that happen.
Yeah. And I've seen that. Going to college and see this one lady that just went from this to that, and it was just crazy. So I rather do it when she's under our protective covering, where we can guide and redirect and give her the direction that they need.
Yeah.
So I think that was really good that you said that, because sometimes we forget about that. We forget about that. They're smaller versions of ourselves.
Oh yes.
And sometimes we can forget about some of the mess that we did
and put our parents through.
Right. Or we think because it's different, then it's not as the same. But it's still a mistake.
It's still a mistake.
Yeah. So we have to give them grace.
And I just want to also add that your children literally look up to you.
Yeah,
they really do. Many of them may not act like it because I don't want to be uncool and say my mom or my dad is my my hero or the person that I look up to. But as parents, I would like to add, be very careful and mindful of what you allow your child to be exposed to within your home.
Yeah.
Meaning what they see us do as parents, because you don't want to be that parent to contradict.
Yeah.
You know, you say one thing, but you're doing something else.
Absolutely.
And because they are soaking it all in. You think they're not listening, you thinking they're not paying attention, but they really are. And my youngest daughter, I mean, when I say it's like I feel like she should work for the CIA. As much as she's in tune and got her ear, like she can break passwords, she can find out this, that. I had a password to the TV because, you know, televisions were monitored. You couldn't watch HBO and certain channels. She figured it out, the code, and I'm thinking, oh my God. So you know, as parents, you know, be mindful what you say. You know, your daughter don't need you on the phone talking to your homegirls about the next young lady or what you did last night if you're single, you know, whatever. Because they're listening to that. Yes. And out here in the world is something that you can't control, but you can control what's in your home and under your own roof.
That is so true. And that is key. And I just even remember my daughter sharing that with, you know, her dad at the time when we were married, and just maybe 2 years ago, you know, just sharing some stuff with her. It's just like I was able to see it, but why wouldn't you tell me? You know, so it just kind of hits. So sometimes in the midst of you're trying to protect them,
right,
or you're, you know, doing certain things, like you said, it's important to be mindful of what you're exposing them to, what they're seeing, and in my mind of protecting, to not necessarily give him this image or speak ill of him, for her to see the different actions and things of that. Sometimes you may have to say certain things, you may not, but my point is they do observe a lot of what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're saying. And sometimes they pay attention more to what you're doing than what you're saying.
Correct.
Because you can talk all day, but they're going to watch and see exactly what you're doing. So be mindful of your actions, you know, as well. So that's a good point. So, you know, being a mom at that of a young age, I started at 24, and now I'm almost 40. Don't ask y'all. Huge difference. But what would you say were some of your challenges? With just, I know you kind of spoke about like your son a little bit. What were some of the challenges with raising a daughter as well?
Oh my goodness. I think for the most part, my oldest was attitude. And I know many parents can attest to that. Had I known what I knew with my baby girl as a young lady, I think I would have did some different type of teaching. I think I kind of created her rebellion. You know, not created it, but I maybe induced it.
I understand what you mean.
You know, I think I induced that in her life because of how I react to things that she did. I would go overboard because I had a bar set here for her that she hadn't grown to yet. And so by that, I would come down really hard, and it was not necessary. In hindsight, it wasn't necessary for me to be that monstrous over her. But just teach her what to do. Teach her how to be a young lady. Teach her how to say no. Teach her the difference between a good friend and a not so good friend. Teach her that when a young lady tries to coerce you to go and skip school, and that's not good. You know, teach her those things instead of, and then then I was quick to not spare the rod. But in some cases, it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
And I gathered this from a gentleman friend of mine, an old gentleman friend of mine. He said to me, it's not always necessary to use corporal punishment.
I agree.
He said, and I looked strange because I'm thinking, out of all my teaching, it's, beat them. They need a whooping,
It's gonna change.
It's gonna change them. But he shared it in a way that blew my mind, and it shifted how I parented. He said, it is not until you change the heart that behavior doesn't change.
Yeah.
Because the feeling of a belt or whatever you use, it goes away, but the heart is still the same.
Absolutely.
The thing, what they will learn to do is get away with it in another way, and instead of getting caught this time.
Yeah.
So I don't get the whooping. So therefore the heart didn't change because they still want to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
But parents sometimes don't put the time in to train up the child in the way that they should go.
Yeah.
And so what that does, it takes more work for the parent to do, because it's easy to hit them. It's easy to, spank. It's easy to do that. And it's a quick fix for you.
Yeah.
But the real work that comes in to help break the habit is to change the heart.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I think even just beyond the beating, sometimes even taking things away. Like, our daughter, we know these new generation, they're all about their phones. And some of us, as adults, we're stuck on it too.
Yeah.
One of the things we did, we took her phone before. She was just like, well, I'm just going to wait out my time to get it back anyway, so I'm going to get it back. But like you said, the behavior didn't change. So what was the lesson? And I remember one day sitting and thinking, you have people who commit acts of violence or just criminals that do certain things, and they go to jail and they come back, and they go to jail and they come back, and they do back and forth, or they go to jail. But what's the root cause? That's always my thing. What's driving that behavior? What's driving for them to be rebellious? And sometimes it is our response, and we're not seeing that. So at the end of the day, I could sit here and take your phone all day and do all these other stuff, but I realized it's more about conversation. What's really driving that? And I had to sit the other day and think about when my daughter does act a certain way. I remember there were critical, life-changing events that happened. Traumatic events that happen. So I've learned over the past year, I used to be that mom, like you said, my expectation is here because I know she is smart as heck, and I'm like, okay, girl,
Right.
can you just don't even try to come down to nobody else's level, just be you, and certain things, and no matter what people say, be the true authentic you. But it's hard,
It is.
But at the same time, I had to pull back and stop being like rah rah rah, and kind of pull back a little bit because I didn't want to repeat some of the things my mom did. And those were to have conversations. Those were to understand where you're coming from, so I can truly help you to get to your destination. So you also feel comfortable having a conversation with me, which she's been doing lately. And then I realized that, hey, there's certain things that my husband and I, we agree, disagree sometimes on some of the should be punishment or for any disobedience, but at the same time, like I said, you have to have conversation to understand the root cause. If you can understand how, like you said, to change the heart, to change the behavior, then you're at a good place, because you can take and you can whip and they're just going to go back. It's going to stop.
Yeah.
The pain is going to stop.
Yes.
I'm going to get this back. If you take it away, they have so many other ways now that they can get stuff.
Yes.
So you're really not getting around. You might as well understand their why. Just like us as adults need to understand why. We should allow them to do so as well, because they're kids, and at that time they have emotions. They don't know what, if they're going or coming or hormones. They don't have a clue. We don't even have a clue sometimes as females, as mom, at that time of the month, or even being pregnant, because they said I'm a mess pregnant emotionally this time. This is my emotion. They don't want me to be pregnant again. They just don't know. It's not happening again. But it's just a prime example that sometimes the expectations that we have, they just don't line up with reality.
It doesn't. And we live in a world that is very different from when we grew up. the accessibility to everything, calls for a different type of parenting.
Oh yes.
I pray for you guys because my 3 children are 29, 27, and 25. And I love my children in pieces. And I'm very grateful to God that I did establish a welcoming door for them to be able to come and talk. They still talk to me. They still ask me for advice.
Yeah.
They still want my opinion. They still ask, what should I do, Mom, in this situation? And I'm grateful. I am truly grateful, where I was told by a few people, family, that I didn't do well parenting. And
Wow.
and I had to live with that in my psyche.
Wow.
It was a challenge, going against, what other people say and what I believe. And now today, I am a big advocate of fruit producing and cultivating ground so that fruit can be nourishing and be plentiful and continues to bear good fruit. I'm an advocate for that. I push it in adults and in children.
Yeah.
They need to learn early about their grounds. And so not knowing what God was doing in my life, but I was making sure that my children's grounds were cultivated for good growth. Not to say that we're not going to make mistakes and we're not going to err. However, I'm just grateful. Each person, each parent out there, you can attest and reflect in your own life and how you raised your children, or as you raise your children currently. What are you doing to their grounds? Are you tilling it? Are you, chopping up the hard places? I see, Katika, you have, some garden containers here, and in my mind, I'm like, wow, like. I'm so into it because I think that it's important that we plant good seeds.
Yes.
I think it's important that we water those seeds properly.
Absolutely.
Because you can overwater.
Absolutely.
You can over fertilize. So that means you're trying to take over the growth process. You're trying to be in control when you're doing too much, as they say, right?
Yes.
And so and so it's so good to know that we can be helpers of their garden.
Absolutely. I think that is just well said and a good pause in space, and we'll definitely circle back as well, because it is a great conversation, because that example, that analogy is like amazing, because you can do too much. You can, but you do have to take the time to make sure that seed is going to spring forth and bring fruit.
Yes.
But at the same time, we also have to be mindful. And sometimes as parents, the truth is, we don't take the opportunity to truly nourish those seeds so that they can bring forth really good fruits. And then we get the spirit of rebellion, and we understand why. Some kids are just going to be rebellious.
Yeah.
But there's always a reason why.
It is.
Always.
Roots.
So we also have to stop and think about what we're doing as well. And we're not perfect, but sometimes as adults, we don't want to do that, because I'm the parent, this is it, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. And that's one of the things I've learned over the years. My mom, or most of us West Indian parents and other cultures, they have this hard hammer fist. I'm the parent, this is it, it's done, there's no conversation. But I've learned that that's just not the way. There are other ways. It may work for some, but it's not. And you have to find out what style works for you, your children, and like you said earlier, it's different. Every child is different.
Absolutely.
And it is important for us to know and pay attention to what we're doing as parents, so we can see our child bring forth. And just like you said, as they get older, they still come back to you. And it was very important for me to also establish a healthy relationship with my daughter, and I will do it with both my sons. And we have to. So we have to be just as intentional as we want them to be intentional in making decisions, and know that we're making mistakes as well, even as adults and as parents. And be transparent so they know you're messing up too. Because when you're trying to set this unrealistic expectation, they're gonna go crazy because they will never meet this bar, and they just gonna be like, forget it, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do because I can't meet it.
Right.
So be realistic, guys. Any final thoughts?
My final
You like this?
My final thought is this: give your children the time that they need and they want from you. With such a crazy world that we live in, it's such a rat race. It's such quick, and I need to get this. I need to obtain this really quickly. But take the time and slow them down. Maybe just take a weekend getaway or overnight stay somewhere. Come out of your regular surrounding or bond with them. It's so many innovative ways that now I see on Pinterest. Like you can set up a camp in the backyard and a tent, with a screen and lights and what have you. But spending that quality time with your children is vital in this time. It's very vital because it's so much, what I want to call it, isolation sections. Like I don't belong to this group, I don't belong to this group, I don't belong to that group. So who am I supposed to be with? So love on your babies. Wrap your arms around them, kiss their foreheads, kiss their cheeks. Let them know that you are always there for them, and they will love you. They will love you for it. They may not show it and they may not say it, but you will see it in their actions on down the line.
You will. And it's so funny you said that because I'm always like, love on yourself and love on them babies. But it's true. And just really quickly, just to wrap up, I remember when I was sick with COVID, 2-3 weeks ago, and I couldn't embrace my daughter, teenager. Normally she's like, don't hug me, step away. And she's just like, oh, I haven't gone to hug you, I've missed hugging you. So again, they need it.
Yes.
So that being said, love on yourself and love on the babies.
Yes.
Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'd love to hear your story as well. So if you are interested in sharing your story or something that may work for you, that may help another parent, please reach out to me, totally@gmail.com, and let's connect so we can continue to connect with other parents and help them. Let's all help each other. Bye.
Bye. Thanks
you
for watching.
again.
You're